Welcome to the month of March, and since it is the new moon today in Pisces, which is all part of this very Piscean month, I wanted to give you guys a reminder that I think is very important, and for some of you, it will be very helpful as far as getting through the month. So here's the first thing and the most important thing I want you guys to keep in mind. In this lifetime, the external measures of success are not necessarily measures of success. For many of you, including myself, one of the most important jobs that we do that will take up almost all of our resources and make it very difficult to navigate forward in a normal fashion in the material world, okay, has a lot to do with ending generational trauma. So for those of you who are here to break the chain of dysfunctional families or toxic families, toxic relationships, generational trauma, you know what I'm talking about, because these were not the best situations we found ourselves born into. These were not the best families we found ourselves born into. And as we go through life and, through many stages and ages of living, it can be very difficult to do a straight line, up the mountain to the mountaintop and say, I have achieved. Because everything, whether you like it or not, all of your resources have been for and towards healing and repairing and breaking the cycle, breaking the legacies of violence and dysfunction and toxicity. So, this particular month, with all the Pisces Neptune influence, may be really driving home those feelings of hopelessness and despair, because Pisces and Neptune also rule sacrifice, victimization, right? Hair's going crazy. Sacrifice, victimization, being a victim, all of these things. It also rules end of life things, okay? So all those, and the things that we throw in the closet we don't want to deal with, all those things are kind of coming up and bubbling to the surface right now, making it very difficult for some of us to look in the mirror and feel good about where we are in our life because of what we haven't accomplished. But do not ever forget the value and importance of being a survivor of these circumstances, ending the legacy of generational trauma, dysfunction, and toxicity. If you're here to break the chain, that's the most important thing you can do, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you achieve all this external success if the only thing you're doing is contributing to more legacy of generational trauma, violence, toxicity, all right? Politicians are a good example because they're very visible, very high profile. You can see them, okay, and they're on the constant stage with a spotlight. So there's not a whole lot about them we can't see and use as a measurement. So look at the people that we have in politics that are successful, okay? And most of them have had fairly easy lives. They've had good lives. They've had lots of financial support. They've gone to the good schools. Their families were able to network with the right people, and get them into these very good positions, to get these even better positions. Nancy Pelosi here's looking at you and your freezer full of gourmet ice cream, so in touch with people. Anyway, Donald Trump. So the thing about it is these people have all of the worldly success you can imagine because they have very easy lives that are supported and lend itself to these things. Nobody gets ahead by themselves. There is no maverick that does this, the lone wolf, that accomplish these things on their own. You have to have people open the door for you to let you into opportunities, and you also have to have somebody there to give you a leg up and to mentor you once you're there so you don't make mistakes and you can keep moving forward. Without those types of support around you, you're not going to accomplish anything. Nobody makes it by themselves. For people who've never had to break cycles, literally lifetime generational cycles of dysfunction, toxicity, all this, violence, all this sort of stuff, of course they're successful. There's no reason for them not to be successful. They've had nothing else to do but to navigate the material world with help. The rest of us, not so much, okay? So, for all of you people out there who are watching my channel and listening to this and are in this very familiar position, right? Take heart and understand that the work you do, even though you're doing it by yourself, is the most important work you can possibly do for yourself, your family, your loved ones, and the world around you. Okay? Because all the material success in the world does not make you a good person and doesn't actually contribute anything meaningful to the people around you. Okay? As much as healing and breaking cycles. So now that I've said that, here's what I want you to do if you're in this position and this message like resonates with you. March is going to be a challenging month. It's an echo chamber. Everything we're putting out there in our minds is literally bouncing around in the canyon, being amplified and bouncing back and forth and repeating itself completely out of our control. Okay? So we have to be very mindful of what we're putting out there. What this means is that even with you and dealing with yourself, try not to succumb to feelings of self-pity and despair and fear and anger and frustration. You're going to have those things, but don't let them swallow you whole. Find that thread to pull you up above the surface of those emotions and understand that the direction you're trying to go in is a real and valid direction. So find that thing that shines off your North Star to navigate by, and focus on that. Put those thoughts out in the world. If you are struggling to find someone to love you, because love and money are the two big things in life, right? And you just feel like you're never going to find anybody, you're always going to be alone, yada, understand that what you're looking for is out there, but you've got to put it out there. You've got to focus on that feeling, okay? And you have to be able to give some of that back to yourself. And if you've just recently had your heart broken, they were a prototype. Maybe they weren't really it. They were just a starter pack. Understand what it is about them that made that experience so deeply meaningful to you. If you're struggling with your finances, understand that it's not the lack of finances that's the critical part of this equation. It's your resourcefulness. You are learning to be resourceful, and pragmatic and all sorts of character things that cannot be developed without these challenges. This is a stress test. This is a challenge being given to you, because at the end of this, when you master this, you're going to have skills and characteristics and develop parts of yourself that cannot, will not, and are not found any other way. You can't buy your way into this stuff. You can't read it in a textbook. You can't visualize your way into being this person. You have to go through these experiences to develop these skills and strengths in yourself so you have them. And once you have them, they're never going anywhere. And they help not just you, but the people around you. So focus on the things that you want to see in the world in your life. Focus on that. Do not succumb to the self-pity and all of the hurt and the frustration. It's there. Acknowledge that it's there. You're going to feel it, but don't get stuck there. March is a magical month, and it's a giant echo chamber for what's going on deep in our subconscious. So mind your mind. Get your mind right. Okay, and understand that any lack of material success in the outside world doesn't actually mean anything, because the real golden ring in this lifetime, the real reward, is when you can do the bigger, more important, most valuable thing ever, and that is to break the cycle, whether it is the cycle of dysfunction, toxicity, violence, alcoholism, drug abuse, whatever the cycle is that's been passing down through generations around you. Your ability to stop it in its tracks with you is the greatest achievement anyone can make. Don't let anybody try to tell you otherwise. See you next month.